Call the board meeting to order. Glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us here today for this meeting. I'd like to ask you, if you want to address the board today, that you identify yourself and name, title, and institution. If you do that, we would appreciate it. Great to be in Magnolia. Senator Dale Bumpers I told some folks last night, used to tell a story about Waldo, the little town next to Magnolia. And he said that there was a veterinarian taxidermist there. And the veterinarian taxidermist, he had a little line underneath his title and it said, "Either way, you get your dog back." Great to be in Magnolia. Let me introduce our board to you first of all, and then we will hear from President Hicks in just a second. I'm Jim Carr from Searcy. Lucas is to my left. Lucas Pointer is from Bentonville. Grayson Bigger next to me. Grayson is from Pocahontas. Chad Hooten, I believe, is on Zoom. Chad, are you there? He is there, okay. He is from Benton. There you go. Heather, to my right down here, is from Heather Maxey from Mountain Home. Cal Miller is on Zoom, or going to be, and Catherine Reinhardt is on Zoom. So we appreciate all of our board members, and we're very thankful for the great staff we have at the Higher Ed Commission. Before I turn it over to the Finance Committee, I'm going to welcome President Hicks up to give us a welcome from SAU. President Hicks, come on up. President Bruno Hicks.
Is this mic working? All right, thank you. Well, first of all, welcome to Magnolia. It's a privilege to be the president of Southern Arkansas University, and I'm very glad to be hosting the Arkansas Department of Higher Ed today. Let me see if I get this to go. Southern Arkansas University, we're working on trying to create what we call an educational home. And really that idea is that we're hooking ourselves with our sister campus as part of the system is SAU Tech. It's an associate degree campus, community college in Camden. And we want to make sure that our students and the residents of Southern Arkansas have a place that they're turning to anytime they're thinking about retooling themselves, entering education, working with concurrent right up through our doctoral program and rural educational leadership. I always like to start these talks off with reminding people why we're in the business. Particularly when you look at what Mandela has to say about education and how it impacts the world, and making sure that we are continually thinking about that in our mind is a big part of SAU and the work that we do. I've also liked Maxwell's quote over here, which just basically pushes you to think about how we're impacting people and thinking about their role in leadership. Because a large part of higher education is that we're training the leaders of tomorrow. And as they come through, they may not even know that. If you had asked me when I was a sophomore at the University of Maine if I would be standing here as a college president, I don't think that would have been on my mind. So I think we just have to keep in mind those two things. If you've never been to SAU, how many people the first time here? So we were formed as a college. Actually, it was a technical agricultural high school in 1909. We have many acres on the northern edge of Magnolia. The campus itself, continuous, is about 1,300. When you add our agricultural research farm, which is about 40 miles away, we have about 1,700 acres. We have a 16-to-1 student ratio. We run, on average, 4,700 students, divided sort of how I put this down here between 2,800 undergrads, 1,400 graduates, and our concurrent population. We're very proud that Niche rated us as the #1 small public comprehensive in Arkansas. I think it's a testament to the faculty, to the staff, and to our whole organization, the amount of attention we give to our students. Oh, no, it already moved on me. I'll go back just for a second. I just want to talk about the idea, and it's going to move again a bit. We're really focused on readiness as a campus. So if I had to pick the one word that I think sums up Southern Arkansas University, is readiness is at the forefront of what we do. We're very excited. We received a $2.7 million hired grant, and ours really focused on K-12 STEM education, as well as beefing up our own engineering programs. We're working on creating a mobile lab. This mobile lab will have, it's going to be the size of a Greyhound bus. It'll have all kinds of equipment in it, and it'll move from school to school across Southern Arkansas, and working with our faculty and with STEM educators across the state in order to bring more experience in the kinds of things that students really wouldn't have if we didn't do this work. So we really appreciate the grant. If we add that to what we have with Southern Arkansas University Tech, they get $5 million. So collectively, that puts about $7.5 million into Southern Arkansas, and we're very appreciative of that. So thank you guys for making that money available for us. Some projects that SAU are working on that we're proud of is our SAU Difference. This is a gap scholarship that we've developed. It covers once your Arkansas Challenge money is met, once your Pell money is met, we cover all your tuition and fees beyond that for students that are in that category. I want to talk a little bit about our Next Step Guarantee. If you haven't heard this program, this is a new initiative. We had very good data from our career services group. They interviewed our graduates last year, 6 months out, and 80% of our graduates responded to the survey. So first, that says a lot about SAU as a college and how these students see themselves. Of those 80%, 85% already had a job or they had already been accepted into graduate school. So we started with the database, and then the question sort of came, what would it feel like for a student and for the campus if every student who crossed the graduation stage knew what they were doing for their next step? And what would it take to resource that? So over the next 3 years, we'll be investing close to $300,000 in our Career Services Center with 5 employees that will do nothing but help students from their freshman year up through their senior year with a variety of different steps that they would take as part of their career preparation that lines up with their academic program, and other student success initiatives like our career advising, our tutoring, our academic coaches, and that they all sort of line together collectively. If a student, and this is what our guarantee really is, if a student makes it, they graduate, and 6 months later they cannot launch to that next step, we are offering them 9 credits on us. So, and those 9 credits will be designed to address what the issue is, advancing to that next step. So it might be you're going to take another course in speech, you're going to do a course that you got a C- in that's keeping you from getting into graduate school. Just the opportunity to take that again. I think our feeling is if you've spent 4 years with us and you've spent that much money and you're still having a hard time, we should be able to pick up 9 credits. There's also an option to do 6 credits in an on-campus internship. Focused again on what it is you might need to actually make that next step. We're very proud of this and we're excited to see how it works. I will say, if you want to know more about it, the webpage has a good description of what those options, what students have to do to claim their guarantee, but also say that we're in the process of developing our first group that can take this advantage. Is coming in the fall, and we are continually updating how we're doing this. But it's an exciting aspect of thinking about a commitment of a higher ed institution to student success to the future. Some highlights, we just assigned a 4+3 program with the Bowen School of Law for our students who can go into law school right from SAU. I would say if It were 4,700, but we take degrees right from associate right up through our doctoral program. So we have a variety. We have over 100 degrees that we offer on the campus. Our teaching residency program, students, instead of really that traditional last semester of student teaching, they spend their whole senior year working for a school department where they're getting paid while they're doing their coursework and their student teaching. We've had tremendous success with that, and our teachers are really into the classroom ready. So they're ready to take on the classes. They take their first job as an official teacher. It's a very exciting program. We just launched an MS degree in business analytics and a Master of Arts in teaching, which helps open more doors for more teachers, for students in a variety of different disciplines like history, science, biology, chemistry. Some of the projects at SAU, as you notice, we have cattle right on the campus. We were started off as an ag school, and we're recommitting ourselves to the concept of food and understanding agriculture and how that fits into all students' lives. So we are launching our farmstead project. Will be sort of like a agro-tourism business that is sort of centralized to the campus with a representation of Arkansas agriculture. We are working on more student scholarships through our capital campaign. And, you know, we have very vibrant arts on our campus. So our liberal arts programs are very vibrant, and you know, if you were here last night, you got a chance to listen to our jazz band, which is just outstanding. We're very proud of that we're a comprehensive campus, and we are focused on not only bringing graduates across the stage for their success, but that they enter the workforce with some readiness to do whatever it is that they're being hired to do. And we're very committed to that aspect of it. This is a unique program. I put it up because it sort of fits that little farmstead thing. We have gardens on campus, and we raise food, and we take that food, and there's a whole elaborate process. My wife has been helping out with this. They turn it into frozen meals for students. And students can basically get 15 of these a week. There's no charge for them. It addresses any kind of food insecurity you might have as a campus. But you can see that we started making 200 pounds, and we're up to almost 1,500 pounds. This, 2,000 meals that we've created. And these go to this, what we call the Meal Rider Market, which is right in this building. And students get it has other things besides food. So if you really needed deodorant or that kind of stuff as a student, you could probably go pick that up there as well. But it's a pretty neat program. This is just a picture of the gardens and some of the vegetables we've harvested out of it, and some of the food we make. So I'll go back here. SAU has a vibrant study abroad program. So there's some of the trips that we are coming up in 2025 and 2026. We believe that this study travel, this is like the big kinds of things over to Europe. But we also do a lot of travel in-state. We have a vibrant marine biology program. You wouldn't expect that in southern Arkansas, but we have a great relationship with a college that's in southern Louisiana, right on the Gulf Coast. And our students are quite traveling. It's really important, this kind of stuff, for kids who are first-generation college students who, they're not really thinking about which college they're going to attend. Many times they're thinking about, am I going to attend college? And then when we get them here, helping them see the broader world is pretty important at SAU. Some of our common goals with tech, this is part of that educational home, but it really is just making sure it's kind of a seamless transition between your associate degree coming into your bachelor's degree. If you go to work, how do we help you get back into a master's program? And how do we set this up in a way that people see that if they want to retool themselves, they know where they're coming. I think that's pretty important for higher education in general right now, is that we're going to have graduates that move to the workforce, the technology, everything from AI to new software interventions are going to push us to basically know that our students are going to need to come back and retool. And so we're just working out what systems does it take to make that seamless on the part of the student. So with that, welcome to Southern Arkansas University. And I'll let us get on with our meeting because we have important stuff to talk about. So But thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, President Hicks. You and your team have been great hosts, and we appreciate that very much. I should have introduced one other person on the dais, and that's our Commissioner of Higher Ed, Dr. Ken Warden. That does a terrific job leading our higher ed department, and we're glad that Ken is up here with us. Sure. Okay, we're going to call the full meeting to order now. Those were the committee meetings. I should have asked you earlier, please silence your phone if you haven't done that already. Agenda item number 9, minutes of the January 24th meeting. They're in your book. Any questions or changes to those? If not, can I get a motion to approve them? Motion. Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Let's see here. At this time, we ask our distinguished commissioner to give a report. You're going to go up there and do it? You're going to do it from here?
If it's okay, I'll just do it from here. Sir.
Okay. And so, Dr. Ken Warden.
Well, members of the board, I appreciate your service and thank you for taking your time, how many scheduled to be here and serve with Arkansas Division of Higher Education in the state of Arkansas. Members of the higher education community, thank you for making the trip and being here and for all you do to education and higher education in Arkansas. And I also want to thank always our staff who are so capable and do such a great job daily to improve our system and make things better. Since we last met, the division continues to look at the feasibility and fit for our less than 120-hour bachelor degrees. We don't have a lot to report on that other than we'll just continue to work with our CAOs and schools to see, if that works for us, how it fits, and how that's going to align with new accreditation standards and things like that. But we continue to do that work. And by now, you should have all received our initial pass on methodology and formula and our findings for the return on investment metric. We did a lot of good work. Special thanks to Sonia Hazelwood and our team for that work. It was, did a whole lot of work in a short period of time to really show and highlight that there is value in higher education in Arkansas, and we are ready to be held accountable to ensure that to anyone who wants to participate in our venture. I should have started by thanking Dr. Hicks. The hospitality's been great. Dr. Hicks, I want to thank you and your team. The jazz ensemble last night was on point, so I appreciate the entertainment and the hospitality here has been wonderful. So thank you.
Just because he guessed a song and got it right last night.
Hey, I did guess a song. That's well, it was an old song, and I've got the gray hair to do that now. So sure appreciate the hospitality. And I think I want to recognize one other person in the room that I understand might be his last meeting unless they twist his arm and keep him around a little longer. But Dr. Terry Martin, Provost, UAC. So let's give Dr.
Terry, stand
Martin
up.
an applause. For his service to higher education. Thank you, sir. Well, it's been a busy past few months since we met last. We've had this little thing going on in the legislative session. Dr. Carter, you may have heard of it. It's called the Access Act.
I heard about that.
I think we've had a few people tracking that. Thanks to largely Melissa Russ and Shane Broadway, I've had to increase my cell phone plan over the last 2 months. We've been talking a lot with system offices and all of you folks about, what the impact is of the legislative changes and how that affects us. All in all, I think we fared fairly well. It's probably the biggest legislative impact in a session that's for higher education in one session that I can recall anyway. And there's a lot of moving parts in there. There's everything from scholarships to funding formula to other legislation that impacted Gen Ed Core. And we've got a lot of work to do. Our team met 2 weeks ago and fleshed out a rudimentary action plan of all the impacts of the legislative components through this session. Who is going to be our primary point of contact within the division, our strategies for making sure that we engage with the right constituents internally and externally to do it the right way, and a timeline for implementation. We met with our board yesterday for about a 4-hour work session. We went through the Access Act among other things and brought them up to speed on kind of where we were headed. I think sine die is May 5th. That will actually conclude the session. Once that is done, we will be working to provide guidance in a written form to all of you about all the things that are impacting your institutions and what our expectations are, things that we know are going to be expected of you, things that are expected of us, and our strategies and timelines for hitting those marks in an efficient fashion and responsible fashion. There's a lot to it, many items in the legislative package. I appreciate the support of the board and their extra time yesterday through that process. We are going to stand up a landing page so that we can be as transparent as we can about meetings, when they happen, action items, next steps, so that really that we're doing that for our own benefit, so my cell phone bill doesn't have to go up again, so that you can log on, see where we are, when we met, and all that. We're going to be reaching out to you to ask for representatives so that we are sure that we get all of our institutions represented the right way. All of our other Arkansas divisions and departments, particularly the Department of Commerce for some of our workforce strategies, and others with the workforce cabinet. So there's a lot of work to be done. Our scope of work for the next 24 months is pretty well set, probably beyond that. I mean, we're doing everything from making a scholarship tweak to working to stand up a common application. And as you all know, that's a lot more complicated than what it sounds. But we're going to do it in the right way and as fast as we can, and still be responsible and accurate. So I don't have a lot more to report to you today. Be expecting correspondence from us mid-May after sine die, and then we're going to start calling some meetings together with all our constituents to get all these expectations of the state and the General Assembly to make sure we're meeting those. Again, I appreciate your attendance, your diligence, and all you do to move higher education daily. Thank you.
Dr. Warden, we're very proud of you and appreciate your leadership of our department. Any questions from anyone? Dr. Warden? He mentioned the return on investment report. If you haven't seen that, you ought to look at it. It's an outstanding report, and it's unique to higher education, I believe, what we've done here. Agenda item number 11, Mr. Mason Campbell, present the annual report on first-year student remediation.
Thank you, Dr. Carr. This report is built on Arkansas code that requires institutions of higher ed to determine appropriate placement measures for college-level courses in English, reading, and mathematics. Act 970-2009 expanded those reporting requirements of post-secondary remediation in a couple of very specific ways. On the bullets here are those 3 specific ways that are legislated. We will provide rates for students who are enrolled and were remediated within 2 years of graduating high school. We'll show the number of remediated students with a high school GPA of 3.0 or higher, and we'll show the number of attempts it typically takes for students to complete remediation. We've also provided a lot of additional information above and beyond those requirements, and we hope this report continues to grow and improve its effectiveness each year. So we thought it would be helpful to start with some context on the size of the cohorts being referenced. How we define the cohort has not changed, but we want to show some perspective compared to all students enrolled in Arkansas public colleges. Roughly 161,000 total students were enrolled in AY24. Of those students, 22,531 were first-time entering, and this report focuses on the cohort of 21,357 first-time students who graduated in either AY22 or 23, and then the 7,620 students that required remediation. So just some perspective. Beginning with a statewide overview, these first graphics show the distribution of all first-time entering degree-seeking students enrolled in AY22, AY24 graduated in 22 or 23. 91% of them were full-time students. 69% enrolled at four-year institutions, and 64% did not require remediation. This graphic shows the state of residence for that full cohort of 21,000 students, their first time entering. 75% of the students enrolled reside in Arkansas, with the highest concentrations of out-of-state students coming from Texas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. And as we're required by law to report on the students who require remediation with a 3.0 or higher, this graph shows the GPA for the entire cohort, and 80% of the 21,000 students had a GPA of 3.0 or higher for our cohort, which makes sense. The majority of students entering higher education appear to have strong GPAs.
Is the average high school GPA now still, what, 3.0?
Average high school GPA. I don't have the answer to that, Dr. Corr. Sorry. Yep. Good question. And then for the remainder of the slides, we're going to focus on the 7,620 students who took remedial coursework, which is roughly 35% of that first-time entering degree-seeking cohort. 89% were full-time students, 59% enrolled at four-year institutions, 41% at two-year institutions, and 91% graduated high school and then immediately enrolled, where only about 9% of those students graduated the year before and then delayed enrollment until the following year. Those remediation numbers are down from last year. It was about 8,000 students who were remediated. This graphic shows the state of residence for the remediated student cohort. Similar trends as the larger cohort. 79% of our remediated students reside within Arkansas, highest concentrations coming from Texas and Missouri. And here we show a race ethnicity breakdown for the total cohort population and the remediated student population with remediation rates for each. This allows a statewide view of whether some student populations are overrepresented in remediation in proportion to their membership in the total general population. And just wanted to note that we've now been tracking these remediation rates for a few years, so we included some trend data over the last 3-year period. And this graphic shows enrollments by the type of remedial course. As the board is aware, and everyone in the room, Arkansas institutions have spent years improving and shifting their remedial coursework to primarily a co-requisite model, which allows institutions to enroll students directly in college-level gateway courses and pairs them with additional remedial support. We still have some standalone remedial courses, and those are either called gateway remedial courses that lead into a college-level gateway course, or non-gateway remedial courses that lead into another layer of remediation. But we have very few of those remaining in the state. This slide shows enrollments by remedial subject and remediation remediation type. And while math is still the most common subject in remediation, most students are in that co-requisite remedial course that we talked about, which allows them to also earn college credit for their gateway course at the same time, which helps the students needing remediation to stay on track and on time to graduation. So even though that math bar is really long, that blue color is very important. And this chart's actually in the appendix. I'm skipping ahead just a bit. This specific one is just for math rates, and it shows success rates for each type of remediation in math. The height of the bar shows the enrollment for each course type, and the line shows the median success rate for that particular course type. As you can see, success rates for the co-requisite model exceed the other type of remediation. And given that most students are enrolling in co-requisite courses, our institutions are absolutely leveraging the model most likely to produce success. And these results are similar for English and reading. And then again, required by law to report on students who require remediation and graduate high school with a 3.0 or higher. This graph shows 63% of the students who required remediation had a GPA of 3.0 or higher. That is down from last year. Last year was 67%. This year it's 63%. This slide shows the distribution of test scores among remediated students. Although students are placed using different measures, the ACT test is still the most commonly reported test score to ADHE. Scores have been grouped into 7 score bands. As you can see that, as we would expect, the majority of remediated students are reporting scores of less than 22.
Mason, let me ask you a question there. I'm backing up one. 63% of the entering freshmen who had a GPA of 3 or higher required remediation.
The number has been going down for the last couple of years. Institutions are starting to use GPA more often as a placement measure instead of standardized test scores. So we're seeing more students with stronger GPAs being placed into straight into college coursework. But yes, 63%.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yep. And then this slide just shows the attempt rate for students taking remediation. As you can see, most students complete remediation in the very first attempt. And then finally, these last 2 slides show some institutional student success data that we've included in the appendix. Our intent, as always, by including these tables is just to help institutions better understand the effectiveness of their placement plans and also help them achieve the goals as set by the coordinating board for the placement policy. This is Appendix B. It shows gateway course success rates or college level success rates for both remediation and non-remediation students. The excerpts on these slides are from two institutions and show rates at which the students who were remediated then successfully passed a gateway course for the subject areas. We would consider these institutions to have strong success rates. And then still in the appendix, Appendix C attempts to provide some insight into the effectiveness of the placement plan. We have tables for each subject. The 2 excerpts here are from the math table. Based on the placement policy, an institution's placement plan should reflect a better than 75% student success rate, success being a grade of C or better in the course in which the student is placed. The tables show college remedial and overall success rates, meaning the students were successful in the course they were placed, and we would consider these institutions to have strong placement success rates. And as with any report, I just want to note that, our results here and our data are, this report's only as good as the data that we have, and most of our institutions have not had the opportunity to review or validate our analysis in this report today. This is just another tool for them to use for continual improvement. We will leverage it in their institutional placement plans that have gone out to them now that we're collecting feedback on. And the full report in the board book also includes some additional charts. So happy to answer any questions.
I was going to say thank you for including the map this year on that. I mean, I tried to blame it on Texas last year, but no such luck on this one. This one's on us. But I mean, although this is like my least favorite report to read every year, it's encouraging that there has been some improvement in this. And these are still students that when we kind of walk it back, probably had some disruption in terms of instruction during COVID at the high school level. Yes.
Yes, these are the cohorts that are coming out. It depends on the year they were in high school, and I'm not sure which year is going to have the most developmental impact, but I think when we looked at this, these were maybe sophomores when COVID hit really hard, which, yeah.
So hopefully next year we'll be able to continue to see that kind of downtrend.
Yeah.
When does the the school day go for seniors? Is that with Learns where they're supposed to go all day?
Oh.
Is that next year that they start that?
Commissioner Warren, do you know? I should know.
So I think you're talking about probably the new high school diplomas. The amount of credits are still the amount of credits, and students can get to those maybe some earlier, but through the Access Act and some of the implications of Learns, we're hoping that we're going to push acceleration so that they are encouraged through scholarships and school accountability scores that students will stick around their senior year, take full schedules, take that math class they need their senior year so that we can reduce remediation into their freshman year of college. We anticipate that's going to have a positive impact.
Right.
We're yet to be determined, but we'll.
I didn't know if that was starting next year or.
Yeah, so that will be starting, next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they're actually rolling out those scores and visiting with the districts and things now so that they know, what the new expectations will be. But as you start something, you can't change the game on a student halfway through their high school career. So it's really going to implement those students who are coming in as high school freshmen. So it'll be a few years, maybe, I think, before we see the full effect of that, but we're hoping for some gains.
Any other questions? Mr. Campbell, excellent job. Thank you very much. Information item number 12 and number 13. Ms. Hazelwood will give us item number 12 is the report on student retention, persistence, and graduation. And item number 13 is report on retention and graduation of intercollegiate athletes. Ms. Hazelwood.
Thank you, Dr. Carr. This first report is for our regular student body. Have to give this report to the board every year on graduation rates. We're first going to take a look at the National Center for Education Statistics, NCES. As you know, they publish national retention rates on their website. According to the most recent data that was published back in May of '24, in the report on the condition of education, NCES reported 81% of the first-time full-time degree-seeking students who enrolled at a four-year degree-granting institution returned in the fall of '22. So that was 81% for the four-year institutions. And those have ranged between 78% and 82% since 2007. For the two-year colleges, students who enrolled at a two-year college in fall of '21 and then returned in the fall of '22 completed their program within the year reported a 63% retention rate. And the two-year college national rates have ranged between 58% and 63% since 2007. Now I look at the state. Fall-to-fall retention rates, this is for our public colleges. We have four-year universities. As you can see, the retention rate calculations for the four-year institutions, they are also based on the same first-time entering, full-time, and bachelor-seeking student cohort that return to your institution the next fall. You can see the green lines are the ones that represent the most recent fall of '23 retention numbers. That was 79.2%. We basically remained steady for our four-year institutions. Our two-year colleges did experience a slight decline in their retention rate, down to 61.3%. When you total all of those together, we lost 0.7% in our retention rate in the public sector, down to 74%.
That means they either dropped out of school or transferred somewhere else?
Yes, retention is just a measure of them returning back to their original institution.
Right.
So you were correct.
We hope some of them are still in school somewhere else, maybe.
Correct.
Yeah.
And here's a look at the retention rate by institution for our four-year institutions. Four-year universities reported an increase in the fall-to-fall retention rate. UA Little Rock reported the most notable percentage change of 4.8% from last year. Arkansas Tech University and the University of Arkansas at Monticello reported 3% increases in their retention rate, and Henderson State University also reported an increase of 2.4%. Our two-year colleges, 8 of our two-year colleges reported an increase in retention rate. UA Hope Texarkana reported the largest of 4.7%, and ASU Mountain Home showed a 3% improvement in their retention rate. I know this is a lot of data to look at.
Very interesting.
For our private institutions offering bachelor's degrees, 6 reported an increased retention rate for fall of '23, and 3 of them, Harding University, John Brown University, and Ouachita Baptist University, reported retention rates above 80%. Now we're going to take a look at graduation rates. This is a screenshot that I took from the National Center for Education Statistics website. They do a condition of education report every year. This was what I referred to on that first slide that was published in May of '24. When you're looking at the national rates for all institutions, including public and private nonprofit, they had a graduation rate of 64%. When you break that down by public, that was 63%. And for the private nonprofits, it's 68%. I did provide the link there to the NCS website if you're interested in more information. And looking at the state graduation rates for our public four-year institutions, bachelor-seeking students. On the left, you have the 100% rate trend. The green bar represents the most recent data for 100% graduating on time. That's our fall of 20 cohort. Pleasantly surprised that we actually were up. That would have been the first COVID cohort, and so we actually did have an improvement, 42.7% over the year before. And when you look at the 150% rate, it was a modest increase, but it was an increase to 54.6%, and those would be students that graduated within 6 years. And for our private independent institutions, you see the 100% rate on the left. They did have a decline, a slight decline to 46.4% for the fall of 20 cohort, and a pretty significant decline for the fall of 18 cohort, down to 55.4% for their 150% rate. Now we're going to look for the two-year colleges. This is the same screenshot that I took from the Condition of Education report from NCES. This cohort entry year was 2017. When you're looking at both public and private nonprofit, that black bar represents 34%, had a 150% graduation rate. When you break that out for public and private, you get 29% for the public institutions and 52% for the private nonprofit two-year colleges. And looking at Arkansas's two-year rates, these are associate-seeking students. We had some slight declines for our two-year colleges this year, down to 20.3% for on-time graduation of 100%, and the 150% rate dropped to 28.0%. And that was less than a 1% decline in both of those rates. Any questions about that report?
Any questions on that report? Anybody?
All
I think retention, it's so important to get students started in college right, if they're going to stay and graduate. And I've always heard that retention kind of is a measure of student satisfaction with the school also.
That's very true.
Did they make a good choice? And
but it is exciting. I know our institutions have, they're doing as much as they can to try to keep those students there. We all know the value of higher ed as the ROI things that we've been working on shows. So.
a lot easier to keep one than to recruit another one. So, and then, the student retention just makes it for a better environment on that campus. When students are satisfied and faculty are able to keep students, I think it's a big deal, and I'm glad our school institutions are spending more time on that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that excellent report.
Sure. Same report, but this one's on student athletes. We had an almost 400 student athlete increase for 24. 3 additional two-year colleges reported for the first time, and several others reported an increase in participation. More than 600 student athletes received full athletic scholarships, while more than 2,600 received a partial scholarship. And looking at retention rates for our student athletes, we have our four-year institutions on the left and our two-year colleges on the right. And graduation rates, this is the on-time 100%. As you can see, these rates are starting to get a little bit more volatile, and some of this is due to the transfer portal, and so the numbers are just kind of all over the place. And we kind of expected that. And here's the 150% rate. And I would like to say that if anybody's interested in official graduation rates, that you should always refer to the NCAA's website for that. This is ADHE calculated based on the data that we receive in AHECB. Any questions?
Any questions from anyone? It's a great report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll present now the report on the Finance Committee to the Committee of the Whole here. The Finance Committee, let me find my place just a second, excuse me. Recommends the action on agenda item number 1. And rather than go back and review it again, we've already approved it. Can I get a motion to approve that from the entire committee?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And the Academic Committee, action items 2, 3, and 6. We need to vote on as the full committee. Can I get a motion to approve those? Motion, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll tell you it's going to be a short meeting. Now we have a chance for the chancellors and presidents to speak if they'd like to. If you'll just come forward and identify yourself, we would be happy for you to address the board. No takers. Okay. I'd like to thank President Hicks and his entire staff for hosting a wonderful meeting. Don't get accustomed to meetings being this short now. The next meeting will be July 25th at Arkansas Tech in North Little Rock, Arkansas Pulaski Technical College in North Little Rock, July the 25th. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So, any second?
Second.
I'm sure there's no opposition.
No.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.